Jor, I wanted to ask you a quick question on why do you think why do you think people are adopting this at such a high rate? Like why is this mindset changed around, hey, I want to go and rent someone's house rather than go to the hotel? And I know that they're
Yeah.
not competing, but I'm just seeing the trend go this way.
Yeah, I would say it feels like a lot of people love the Airbnb route a little bit more is because we're selling them an experience and they can bring a lot more people to one space, right? Instead of
Mm,
buying blocks of rooms in a hotel, they can bring their whole family into this 2,500 square foot house and just kind
mm,
of all be there together, share stories, create memories. And that's what we're doing with Airbnb. We're not just providing them a little resting spot. Yes, they're sleeping there, right? But they are there to build memories and they're there to just experience one another. And if you have that great place that you can welcome them into that space and make them feel at home, that's why I think they love Airbnb so much. They love the fact that they get to go to a new space, go experience someone else's house, and just
hmm
like feel welcome into that environment. A hotel, you know
Yeah.
what you're getting, right? It's cut and dry. A hotel's always going to be cut and dry. But if you have that house that's beautiful, that presents well, people love looking at houses, man, right? They want to come and stay in those
Yeah.
houses.
Dude, I think you just hit it on the head. I just circled experience 3 times because when my wife and I have looked at Airbnbs, we have seen that outdoor kitchen and visualized us cooking meal for our family in that kitchen. We've seen that pool. We've seen that interior kitchen. We're just like, wow, we haven't had a kitchen that big. Look at that island.
Yeah.
And it's because we get to experience that with our relatives and cook around that, make cookies around that. That's what we've done. And so I never really thought of it that way, that I've been buying an experience more than the house. And I definitely feel like this is why Airbnb is it has become popular and will
Yeah.
continue to be popular. We see that the younger generations are all about experience. They're all about
Yeah.
spending their time in great ways. I think of people, you're experiencing the people you're with, you're experiencing the place that you're at, a really exquisite place, and you're experiencing the activities around that you can do. That makes a ton of sense, man. And I've even seen this a little bit in the algorithm, like not the algorithm, the website, the marketing that Airbnb is doing. Can you speak to that at all? Is Airbnb also like saying, "Hey, we're not just a lodging company where you can find somewhere to stay. We're an experience company."
Yeah. I say they're a powerhouse when it comes to the online travel platforms. It just feels Airbnb just owns that market so much more than everyone else because they're just known as the spot to come have those experiences. They have all those different headings at the top. One's like a unique stay, one's like an OMG category, and they're circling themselves around those type of things because they want people to come experience awesome properties. There's one gal in Idaho. She rents out a potato. It's just a potato, and that's what people come and stay in. And she makes like $75,000 a year doing that. And that's just nuts to me to think that you can rent out a potato and make that amount. But that speaks to the experience side. I follow many people on Instagram that go and just review Airbnbs. That's all they do. And they're
Wow.
beautiful spots that they're going and seeing, which is I think Airbnb just promotes itself better. Like it's just they have a good capture on the market and they make you want to use their website.
And I want people that are currently doing Airbnb to hear this. If you're not giving people a visualization of the experience they can have by staying at your place, you're going to lose to somebody that is. Fair, Jory?
Yeah, massively.
Do
Yep.
you have any tips or tricks on like how you're creating that at some of the ones you're managing? Is it little things? Is it big things? I mean, you can't have a pool at every place, right?
Right. Man, you would be surprised how much psychology goes into these different Airbnbs. When you're first looking for a listing, your first photo that they're going to see is called your hero photo, and that's the one you want to really pop. So if you have an accent wall and it just presents better, and you look at the competition around your area and notice they don't have any of that, put that as your first photo because you will get clicks on that, and there's a lot of the time they're going to commit and come to your property because of just that photo. And then your first 5 photos ultimately are what matter more than anything. If those all flow nicely together, you're going to get promoted to the top of Airbnb's search rankings. And if you're kind of fluctuating your price as well, that's going to help to do that too. But presentation matters more than anything. And a big trick here that I don't really want to share, but I will anyway, is if you have a streaming service on a smart TV, go launch your loading platform. So let's say you're going to launch Netflix. Launch that, snap a picture of it, and show that Netflix popping really nice, and put that as your second photo or your third photo, showing that you do have a TV and you have streaming services. But that psychology piece right there has been kind of a game changer, to be honest. They know that you have a TV, but they look at it and it's just black. It's just blank. And if you put those streaming services like Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, man, does it pop nicely on those photos.
Man, that's a really great tip, man. That's a pro tip. I even think like more of a family driven Airbnb. You've got the TV sitting there on the wall, and Disney Plus is in the background. Like it's telling me, oh my gosh, look at I can see my kids watching a Disney movie in this living room. Book button
Yeah,
button button. Right. And
exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
what else? I love your tip about the hero photo, by the way. I wrote that down. I hope others did too. The first 5 photos, I like that. I didn't know that. What
Yeah.
do you want to see in those first 5 other than like things like you just mentioned those 2, like the
Yeah.
main pop and the streaming?
Yeah. So I think what I would do is definitely put like, if you have a nice dining space, put that so that they can envision themselves in there. If you have a nice amenity like a pool, a hot tub, a sauna, if you have one of those items,
Mm,
definitely put that in one of those first ones. And I always add like the front of the property onto one of those too, so that when they pull up,
yes.
they know exactly what it looks like and they know that they're at the right place. Because if you can have it in your bunch of photos, but if you have it way at the end and they got to scroll through, how often do you think they're probably scrolling to the end? Probably not often. Those first 5, that's what captures their attention. That's what clicks them through. That's what makes them push reserve now.
I have 100% found myself trying to find the view of the front of the place because I've seen it where it's like the living room or the pool table or the cool room or the basement theater room. And that's the first picture. That's the hero photo. And then I go and I
Yep.
scroll and it's like this dingy looking house. And it's like, why, I can tell you're like I've lost all trust with you because you're
Yeah.
hiding this from me, like,
Yes. Yes. You bury it in those other photos and it's gone.
yeah. Which I mean, this is a different game. Like you said, there's a certain aspect of character that people are okay with, but if you're marketing that way, but these are nicer, higher quality stays for most of these
Yeah.
places. Like you need some pop. Is curb appeal important? Would you say like where do you rank that on the importance?
Yeah. If you a great example of this is the first Airbnb I ever took on in West Fargo. It didn't have any landscaping out front. It was just dirt mounds. And so that does not look great to the eye because then the guest starts walking in. They're like, uh oh, what's the rest of this place look like if they don't care about the landscaping out here? And so we quickly changed that to do nice rock. And that changed a lot too. So I would say the curb appeal is very important. You want to have some nice landscaping, a nice trimmed lawn, so that when they first set foot on your property, they have a pretty good expectation going in that, well, it's well kept out here, so I'm sure it's well kept inside. But if they
Mm.
come home, if they pull up to that dingy spot, then they start to get a little bit nervous probably walking into that unit, what it's going to look like. Is it even clean? Is probably one of their first thoughts.
Now, Jory, have you had to learn this the hard way? Have you gotten feedback from people on this? Have you done just a lot of education around this? Like, how are you continuing to stay on the edge of this Airbnb game?
Yeah, I would say both. I've learned through a lot of trial and error. I've learned through a lot of guest feedback.
Mm,
They've given me a lot of private feedback, which I've really appreciated. Instead of them just blasting us on the review, they definitely just gave me good feedback that I've given to the owners, and then we've implemented those pieces. And then YouTube's been my playground. I mean, I follow a couple of
nice.
heavy hitters in the Airbnb game, and they taught me a lot about that hero photo situation was one of them too. Like how you present your photos, how you do your listing description. Without me knowing how to do that stuff, I don't think my Airbnbs would be doing as great as they are right now. Um, all the feedback I've received from owners too, like I think we're all just meshing well together at this point. It's good to hear what the guests want because then once we implement that piece, it just kind of changes it for everyone. Because if that guest said it, probably someone else is going to down the line. So if we
Mm.
hit that right away, then we're already ahead of that game.
How do you get that guest feedback? Do you have some tactics around that? Especially the private drawer. That was interesting to get that. So it's not,
Yeah.
I got a bad review. It's out there. I learned, but now everybody has to learn from my mistake.
Yeah, so when we're messaging on the Airbnb platform, they'll either give it to me there or come review time, you're able to leave private feedback
Mm.
instead of the public. And then I'll read that, I'll see what they said. And then that's immediately when we're going to go tell the owner, should we implement this? And I let the owner do make the call on it a lot of the time. Like if one guest said the beds were uncomfortable, but the next 10 say that they were comfortable, we're probably not going to go switch every single bed. So it's little things a lot of the time. Different little utensils for the kitchen has been the majority of them. Cookie sheets,
Wow.
different spatulas. We haven't had any problem with like the coffee situation. That's always been a home run. Like you need to have a coffee maker, you need to have a Keurig. You kind of have to have both, to be honest. And that's just
Wow.
how it is. The coffee station, I've gotten probably 10 questions before they even showed up. What's the coffee situation like? I'm a major caffeine addict. So
Nice.
you gotta have both. You gotta have both.
Are you doing anything proactively to like solicit some of this? Are you kind of like messaging them or doing, what would you say to that?
Yeah, yeah. So my automated messaging always checks in how they're doing. So I set up 5 or 6 automated messages to send to my guests while they're there, before they get there, and then after. So I have one that just checks in to see how things are going and if there's any feedback they'd like to provide us at that time. So I like to jump ahead of that right away instead of waiting until the review process comes. And that's where, probably 50% of people have responded to that message and giving me some good feedback, which has been great to implement that. One was
Mm.
a full length mirror in the master bedroom. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Yes, that would make sense. The guest that booked that place probably wants to do a little twirl and see how they look before they go out for their event. So
There
that's
you
why you
go.
get those things.
How much does the rating matter? Like, because I'm sitting here seeing, if I see 4.4 stars, it doesn't really make a big alarm to me, but my wife was like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. And I'm like, what? you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I would say, yeah, this is what's tough is I think anything below a 5 star is not good. It matters a lot to a guest, and it matters a lot to how you populate in the search rankings for Airbnb
yeah.
too. Host status, super host status is 4.8 stars or better. So you have to be hitting a minimum of 4.8 every time in order to be a super host every time they check on a quarterly basis. So if I'm looking at a 4.5 on Amazon, sure. Like I'll probably buy that product if it has thousands of reviews. But if it's 4.5 and you have 100 reviews, I don't know. I might look elsewhere. If there's another 5 star review somewhere, even if they only have 25 reviews or 30 reviews, I think I'm going to book that one because it seems like they've
Mm.
had more consistency across that. I know you can get fluctuation within that, but I feel it's really hard to get like a 4 out of 5 stars. If you nail the
Mm.
cleaning process and you're very responsive and you have great hospitality, it's going to be tough. I feel like you have to really mess up or something has to go tremendously wrong on the property to not get a
Gotcha.
5 star review.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff happens, right? But it's just kind of how you've responded to
Yeah.
that. That's how you've continued to get your five.
Yes. Yeah. If something wasn't clean, for example, I send my cleaner out right away to take care of that problem. So they're there within
Yeah.
the hour to address that. And that
Oh,
responsiveness,
wow.
going and doing those things, is going to turn that bad quick second experience that they had into, oh wow, these people value me and they're going to take care of this little issue that I think is a minor inconvenience, but they care about me. So they're going to come out and do this for me. So then that negative experience, it could have led to a 4 out of 5, right? But then just because we sent that cleaner out to quickly, let's say, dust something off for them, they change their attitude pretty quickly upon checkout. And it comes to that
Wow.
5 star again. Yeah.
And then, I mean, speak to the algorithm a little bit. Airbnb, if you're getting, I mean, are they really promoting higher ranked listings? Or, like you say, being on those first two pages is really big to stay relevant, right?
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. It's if you start slipping into the third or fourth page, you're going to have to jump into your listing and see if it's tweaks you have to make on your photos or if it's listing description stuff. The first 3 reviews when you're starting out in Airbnb are the ones that matter the most. They're
Wow.
going to determine that average rate from that. And then your next milestone, I believe, is 20 reviews. So if you're getting positive reviews after positive reviews, man, you're shooting to the top. Like they have a heavy weight on the review process.
Nice. So yeah, if you want to play this game, even in a saturated market, you guys, there's controllable levers here if you're just paying attention to how they want you to play the game, which is part of it. I mean, we need that platform in order to be successful if you're going to do this type of investing. It's different than long term. Long term, you
Yeah.
can post it at the grocery store and put it on Craigslist and put it on Facebook. This is a higher level game.